Welcome, everyone, to the Thursday edition of Fair Territory. I'm Ken Rosenthal here with Alanna Rizzo. And Alanna, it's not even July 31st, and we've got some action to talk about today.
We do, Ken. Always great to be with you. Yes, it's July 10th, and there has already been a trade in addition to much more to happen the next couple of weeks. But it's the Baltimore Orioles. The Rays actually acquire reliever Bryan Baker from the O's for competitive balance pick in Sunday's draft. And Ken, I don't know that Baker was kind of on your board to be moved. What more can you tell us?
He was not on my board to be moved. And actually, Tampa Bay is the team that parted with the number 37 pick. I updated that tweet. It was a little bit mistaken. Had the wrong team. That's going to happen, by the way, probably again before the deadline. But this trade is actually rather interesting, even though on the surface, most fans, casual fans, probably have not even heard of Bryan Baker. But he's a decent reliever who can help the Rays stabilize a bullpen that in the last 2 weeks or so has kind of collapsed a little bit. So they need some help there. But the more interesting angle is from the Orioles' perspective. As you saw, they acquired the number 37 pick in the draft that starts on Sunday. They now have 4 picks in the first 37. 19, that's their first rounder. 30 and 31, those are the comp picks for Corbin Burnes and Anthony Santander. And now 37 coming from the Rays. That's a competitive balance pick. Those are the only kinds of picks that can be traded. Now, the Orioles, they need, as we all know, controllable starting pitching. They've got some free agent starters in their mix right now that they probably will end up trading. Charlie Morton, Tomoyuki Sugano. And ultimately going forward, they need help there. They've needed help there since the offseason. We know that. Can they get that help with the players that they have available going forward here? I'm not sure it can happen at the deadline. Let's take a look at the players who are available, and we'll get into this a little bit and just explain how the Orioles might make this work, because it's kind of similar to what the Tampa Bay Rays did last year at the deadline. If you remember, Alanna, they traded 9 players. They got 16 players back. Only 2 of them were in the major leagues, Christopher Morel and Dylan Carlson. So here's the Orioles list of trade candidates: Ryan O'Hearn, Ramon Laureano, Cedric Mullins, Charlie Morton, Andrew Kittredge, Tomoyuki Sugano, and Sir Anthony Dominguez. And then on the injured list, Zach Eflin, who may be coming off the injured list by the time the deadline happens. And then Bryan Baker, who has 3 years of control, but the Orioles traded him anyway to get that number 37 pick. Now, why are the picks so valuable? One, they're valuable in themselves. And Mike Elias, the one great thing he has done as Orioles general manager is draft. He also did it in Houston. He's the guy who drafted Correa and McCullers and a number of others for the Astros when he was there. And the bonus pool is something else that is meaningful here. Each pick, as you guys know, has a bonus slot attached to him, or the slot does. And when the Orioles traded for the number 37 pick, they acquired more money. And when you have all this money in the bonus pool, and we'll take a look right now at just how that sums up, when you have all that money, you can do different things. It gives you flexibility in the draft. The Orioles now the top team, according to MLB.com, more than $19 million in their bonus pool. That will give them the ability to manipulate the draft a little bit, do some creative things. So for the Orioles, an interesting trade, and probably, Alanna, the first of many.
Yeah, I was going to say, it almost seems like it's just a signaling of sell, sell, sell. Ken, how disappointing is this, though, when you think about the Orioles coming into the season? Much higher hopes for this club going into 2025, and now it seems like they're going to have an absolute yard sale.
Extremely disappointing, Alanna. And if you read Jason Stark last week, I think it was, what we learned in the first half, he had a mention of the Orioles as the most disappointing team in recent memory because of that young core of position players that is so promising and remains so promising. So one thing I didn't mention just earlier was they plan to compete in 2026. So while they might not be able to address their needs at the deadline, because generally prospect made trades are made at the deadline, they can amass more talent, do some more things in the offseason perhaps, and then build on what they have with that young core. They've also got Felix Bautista, closer, available for 2 more years under club control. I don't expect that they're going to trade him simply because they want to compete going forward.
All right, so the Baltimore Orioles making a move 2 weeks before the trade deadline, staying in the AL East. The Yankees also make a move, but it's not via the trade. Kind of surprising to some, I guess. DJ LeMahieu, infielder, was designated for assignment. He's now been released by the Yankees. What does this mean?
It means the Yankees need a third baseman and that they've moved Jazz Chisholm Jr. to second base, which is where he belongs, and they can finally maybe start to get their infield in order. Oswald Peraza probably will take the majority of the reps at third until the Yankees can do something else at the position. Eugenio Suarez is a guy that a lot of people have linked to them. Ryan McMahon is another one who could be available, is available. So we'll see just how the Yankees address this. They have other needs as well. Their general manager, Brian Cashman, mentioned that yesterday, that they're going to go and try to address as many things as possible. They need another starter. They need perhaps two more relievers. They're a team that is built to win, wants to win, and I am sure will be aggressive. Now, DJ LeMahieu, obviously it didn't work for him this season, and the Yankees gave him 45 games, probably more than they should have given him in retrospect, coming off the injuries that he's had. Just wanted to see whether DJ could recapture some of what he did in 2019 and 20 when he was such a valuable Yankee. Didn't happen. And yes, he was not good defensively, not showing much impact offensively. Jazz, good at third, okay at third, but better at second. So this will help them, and we will see just where they go with this going forward, because they've got some things that they're going to need to do. We know that. I just mentioned them, and I expect Cashman to be very aggressive.
And you also expect Anthony Volpe to be a big piece of that puzzle, right? They're big on what Anthony Volpe can do. Part of the solution, Ken?
Well, that's what Brian Cashman said yesterday. Not part of the problem, part of the solution. Now, a lot of fans might disagree. And Volpe's a guy with about almost 1,700 plate appearances in the big leagues. Not a small sample at this point. And yet, the way the Yankees see him, even though he has been so streaky offensively, is as a player who is around the 700 OPS and an excellent defender. He's had some missteps in the field the last couple of weeks, but they see him largely as a really good defender. That, as Aaron Boone says, is a decent player. Can Anthony Volpe be better? Yes, he can be better, and the Yankees expect he will be better. The question that a lot of us have is what we've seen what it's going to be? And I'm not sure we can pass judgment on that just yet, not when he's still just 24 years old. But Volpe has been kind of a lightning rod for Yankee fans of late, and his performance the rest of the season is going to go a long way toward determining what kind of team they're going to be.
Yeah, I don't envy anybody taking a shortstop position with the Yankees after Derek Jeter. That is a tall hill to climb. Let's go to the AL Central and the Kansas City Royals. We talked about the Orioles, Ken, being a disappointment. I think you can put the Royals in that category too. What are they doing? Are they buying or are they selling?
We don't know yet, Alanna. And we don't know yet because they recently went through a stretch where they were, 14 and 28. But they have won 8 of their last 12. Their offense is finally starting to look like it's waking up. Calianone's doing some things. Perez, 2 home runs last night. They are finally looking like the team that they want to be, and they want to be in contention. This is a team that has about $127 million payroll. It's their highest since 2017. They did not build this team to break it up, to trade Seth Lugo and others at the deadline. What they want to do is compete. Now, what we have in both wildcard races, and I want to show you the standings as we go along here, are kind of a muddled picture. And both races have teams that are on the bubble. This is common for this time of year, especially with the expanded playoffs. But certain teams, like the Royals, are going to need to decide over the next 15 games or so, and that's what is left before the deadline, just where they're going with this. All right, look at the AL wildcard. Yankees, Tampa Bay, and Seattle are the leaders right now. The Red Sox, in my view, are a playoff team, and they have every capability of being that. They are tied with Seattle for this last spot. Kansas City, Los Angeles, and Minnesota. 3 teams all tied behind the Red Sox, 3 games back. The Rangers, a team that has been immensely disappointing, only 3.5 games back. The Guardians, another team, hugely disappointing, awful June, 4.5 back. 2 good weeks here. 2 good weeks by any of these clubs will influence where they go, as would 2 bad weeks. So those are the kinds of things that we're going to be looking at going forward. And I want to show you the National League. It's sort of similar in the wild card races. They have teams in the National League. There are teams in the National League that are really close. San Diego and St. Louis, obviously right there. St. Louis is teetering, and I don't know that they see themselves necessarily as a playoff team. We're going to find out. The Reds and the Diamondbacks. And the Diamondbacks have been crushed by injuries. Crushed. I don't see a path forward for them that leads to a playoff berth, but they're only 4.5 back. The Reds invested a lot in this season. They're 3.5 back. So again, with about 14, 15 games remaining before the deadline, some of this will sort itself out and some of it won't. And some teams will just need to decide, okay, do we want to really try to upgrade? Are our chances worth upgrading for or not?
Ken, really quickly, do you think that it's also a case of where the Royals, because it's the highest payroll into this season since 17, they're like, I don't really want to concede just yet?
Yes, I think that's exactly it, Alanna. And their front office, their ownership, they've invested a lot in this season. They believe in their team. And remember, they were a playoff team last year. So it's not as if they look at this and say, let's just live for another day. Teams like the Royals are tired of living for another day, or should be anyway. And that's why the stress of competition is so important, or the importance of competition is so significant. Teams need to compete. They need to stop selling off and playing for tomorrow. And the Royals do not want to play for tomorrow.
Yeah, the fans deserve that. A team that's willing to compete, an ownership group that's willing to put competitive players on the field and go for it at least. Much more to come here on Fair Territory with Ken Rosenthal. First, a quick word from our friends at Foul.
Summer. We almost forgot what it feels like to play just because. But even summer needs backup. A little partner in the good kind of chaos. Someone to bring the kung fu kicks. Hiya! To train some dragons. Fly, young dragon rider, fly. The kind of fun that keeps the days going. That turns living rooms into playgrounds. And reminds us what our bodies and our hearts were made for. Play that moves you.
Well, we have a great giveaway going on right now in our ChatBCC group chat. Think you know ball? Prove it. Play our trivia game for a shot at winning an authentic Major League Baseball jersey of your choice. It's worth up to $400. Here's how to enter. Sign up at foulterritory.chat, play trivia, crush it, and you might win. We're picking one winner from the top scorers at random. The deadline is July 13th. That's 3 days away at 11:59 p.m. Eastern. So get in there, play, win, and brag. All right, it is time now for my favorite segment, Grillin Ken. When else can we ask Ken Rosenthal, of course, future Hall of Famer, my friend, a question? And it's always fun, too, around the deadline, Ken. All right, this is from Richard Proctor. This is coming from our ChatBCC group. We appreciate you guys. Is there any other type of skill competition that you would like to see implemented during the All-Star festivities? What about like a reporter competition? I'm kidding.
Let's not have that. We have that every day, actually. I would like to see some things, but there's no way the players and the teams would ever agree to them. I'd like to see fastest throw from an outfielder. That would be cool. I'd like to see a race between the fastest players. That would be cool too. Is it going to happen? No, because the risk of injury is too great. So we're good with home run derby. Even that is somewhat controversial, and that teams kind of say, we don't really want our guys swinging that much, but it's been a lot of fun over the years, so it's going to continue. But I don't expect we'll see any other skills competition, though sure, I'd like to see a lot of things.
Yeah, a couple of guys that were just in the home run derby not participating. Teoscar Hernandez, Pete Alonso says that he's going to pass this year. I want to see the slowest race. I want a bunch of catchers to line up and see who can run the slowest. All right, Elvis Santoyo, do you think relief pitchers get overlooked during all-star selections? This is a good question. The focus tends to be on starting pitchers. I can think of quite a few relief pitchers that are not in the all-star game and should be. Ken, this is basically a t-shirt that says relievers need love too.
He's right. And Elvis, that's a good point. Relievers generally are picked in the all-star game. Of course, there's a minimum that has to be chosen for the team. But at the same time, it seems often, not this year so much, but often the focus is on closers and not some of the great setup guys who are doing some amazing things. Now, this year, the National League team includes Jason Adam and Randy Rodriguez. Those are guys who, 5 years ago, 10 years ago for sure, would not have been picked because setup guys were not generally included, but it's good to see them get acknowledged. The problem with pitching, Elvis, is that there are so many good pitchers. There are so many guys doing wonderful things that you just can't get them all on the team. And that's the issue, obviously, with the all-star team. But as I always say, just wait. spots are going to open up. We've already seen a number of players added. There will be a number of additional players added before Sunday and the game on Tuesday.
Yeah, the roster is continually changing because of injuries or schedule or the way that things play out. I do love the fact, though, that everybody is wearing their own respective team
Yes.
jersey and we're not doing all-star jerseys anymore. I'm so grateful for that. All right, another question here from ChatBCC. John Dicey wants to know, do you think the Dodgers would have more rings if they had someone other than Dave Roberts as their man? What? Seems like he gets in his own way. I'll let you take that one.
John, they've got 2 rings, 2020 and 2024. I know fans sometimes think otherwise, but your favorite team can't win every year. The Dave Roberts scenario, yes, it was a big question mark about him, even as recently as last postseason. And if they had lost that San Diego series in the division series, I wrote this, and I believe this. He might have been fired, but he wasn't fired. They won that series, and they went on to win the World Series, and now he's likely going to the Hall of Fame. That is the thin line that managers sometimes walk, but you can't say Dave Roberts has not been a good manager for the Los Angeles Dodgers. He's been a very good manager.
He's been an incredible manager, highest winning percentage among active managers. At least he's up there in that list. He should have had a ring for 2017. That's another conversation that we've had 1,000 times. And to your point, Ken, he even said himself that he worried about his career or his job during that DS against the San Diego Padres. So he got over that hump, and he now has 2 rings as a manager and is a postseason contender. All right, coming up on Foul Territory with Ken Rosenthal, it is Dude and Dork of the Week. One more question here, I guess. Video Game Nation, Grillin Ken. Ken, do you think the Red Sox trade Jarren Duran even though they are competing? I wonder about this too. This is a good question.
It's possible, but I would say unlikely. And Alex Cora in recent days, and maybe it's posturing because that's the time of year we're in right now where teams say things that don't necessarily have great meaning. But he has basically said, we can make this work. Even with Yoshida being back, we can work this rotation. Anthony, it seems, is going to play every day or close to it. But with Duran and Abreu and Yoshida and Rafaela, they'll figure it out. They'll just mix them in and out. So the Red Sox, if they could get a number 2 starter for Duran and one with comparable control, because Duran does have control beyond this season, I think they would do it. But I don't see that deal being out there for them. What team wants to trade that kind of arm? Maybe for Duran, a team would, but while it would make some sense for the Red Sox to do this, I would bet against it rather than on it. I don't think it's 100% that it's not going to happen. There's a chance. There's a world out there where they do trade Duran for pitching, but it's just a difficult thing to pull off.
Yeah, there's a lot of things going on with the Red Sox right now. Masataka Yoshida returned yesterday. Alex Bregman's probably coming back on Friday. They have a lot of young talent. Could be some definite question marks in terms of who goes where and where do they get that playing time. Another question here on Grillin Ken. This one comes from Mike G. It's in regards to PCA, who I tell you what, has been like a topic of conversation every single day. Will PCA be your surefire NL MVP if he puts up the first ever MLB 40-40 and Platinum Glove season that he's still on pace for, and a higher WAR than a man by the name of Shohei Ohtani?
Mike, it's a fair question. And if he puts up that kind of season, PCA, he might not finish first, but he's going to finish in the top 3. Now, the question is, what is Ohtani going to do as a pitcher? How valuable will he be as a pitcher? And with Ohtani and WAR, I don't necessarily assign incredible value to that because he is such an unusual player. I don't know that his contributions are fully captured by WAR. I don't mean to anger any statistical analysts out there, but this guy's a different cat. Now, he's not going to get built up most likely in the regular season to be a 7-inning starter. But Dave Roberts has mentioned he could go 5 innings. And if he does that, and he helps the Dodgers get where they want to be, best record in the National League going into the playoffs, he's still going to be a really strong MVP candidate. That said, 40-40, Platinum Glove, yeah, that's a pretty darn good player. It's going to be really interesting too, though. Kyle Tucker might be their most valuable player in certain other respects. I don't know that PCA is having this season without Kyle Tucker doing what he's doing.
Ken, is there any part of voting fatigue for the same guy over and over again? Do you think there's any part of PCA getting it just because it almost seems unfair, maybe warranted, but almost unfair that Shohei is just kind of a shoe-in every season?
I do think that comes into play for certain voters. Now, we haven't seen it yet. Shohei keeps winning, but there might be a desire among some voters for a new flavor of the month. But that said, Alana, most voters kind of look at it year by year, and one year has nothing to do with the next. And yes, PCA would be the ideal new flavor of the month or year, but I don't know that it's going to go down that way. The way voters break it down, so statistically oriented as they should, it seems to me that each year is separate from the other, and that I don't know that Shohei Ohtani, because he's won it before unanimously, is going to win it or won't win it again for that reason.
All right. Well, thank you, everybody, for your ChatBCC and YouTube questions. We appreciate it. We're going to take a quick break, and then we are back with Dude and Dork of the Week.
Hey, let's do a little player spotlight thanks to Arena Club. AJ, give me a player this season that you think is underrated and you might want to try and grab his card.
James Wood. I don't know that he's underrated, but Washington Nationals superstar in the making, and the first slab pack I ever opened had him in it. His rookie card, and the value is only going to go up and up and up. And I'm not going to sell it quite yet, Scott. I'm going to hold on to it because after he continues to hit big homers and put up the stats, make all-star teams, it's going to get more expensive for someone to buy for me.
This is his first full season in the majors. Keep that in mind. I think he's underrated. He's on a Nationals team that's meh. Not getting enough attention. He might hit underrated 40 homers.
When he makes the all-star team this year, they're not going to be underrated.
That helps. He's been intentionally walked 4 times in a game. Anyway, if you want to try and find a Wood rookie card, go check out slab packs on Arena Club. And right now you can get 20% off your first slab pack, or if you just want to go with a card purchase, go to arenaclub.com/FOUL. Use code FOUL. If you buy, sell, trade, collect, go for it.
BetMGM is giving you the chance to win a prize every day during the baseball season. Step into the batter's box for BetMGM's Swing for the Fences free-to-play game. Visit the BetMGM app to access the game, and you'll score a prize if you hit a single, double, triple, or home run. Strikeout? No problem. Try again tomorrow. Gambling problem or concern? There is help. Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Dude.
All right, Ken, let's give somebody some flowers. Who is your dude of the week?
The Miz. Jacob Mizorowski, rookie pitcher for the Milwaukee Brewers. 5 starts is not enough to put him on the All-Star team, I think, even though I'd love to see him in the game. But my goodness, the duel with Kershaw, which he won, that was something else this week. And not only that, he showed the proper respect for Kershaw, even though Kershaw did not necessarily show him much respect before the game. He was kind of dismissive of Mizorowski. He said, hey, what's this, the guy with the ankle? The guy almost fell down. So Mizorowski, after the game, said, you know what? Clayton Kershaw, it was an honor to pitch against him, and I think maybe he hopefully knows who I am now. It was respectfully done. It was cool, and watching this kid pitch is absolutely electric.
Yeah, if you didn't know who he was coming into the season, you certainly know who the heck he is now. All right, my dude of the week is a dudes of the week, the Boston Red Sox. This was a team 3 weeks ago. We were wondering if they were even going to make the postseason. Now they have rattled off a lot of runs. It is a much more complete team up and down the lineup. They're lengthening the lineup. They've played really well on both sides of the ball. The pitching is getting better. You had Fitz doing really well. Crochet's done really well. Bryan Baker was fantastic. Lucas Giolito last night was really good, albeit I understand it's against the Nationals, it's against the Rockies, but those are 2 teams that you absolutely have to beat. They're very much in the wild card picture in the American League, and obviously Breslow and that team will be buyers in the American League. All right, time now for the John Fisher Dork of the Week. Okay, Ken, who do you have as somebody that just continues to make you shake your head?
Alana, after the Nationals fired Mike Rizzo and David Martinez, I wrote a column saying, et tu, Rockies, and you, Rockies, because ultimately they're going to need to make a change too. And they've kind of signaled that already. The general manager, Bill Schmidt's been there a while. He's been a great organizational soldier, but they need to go forward. they are on pace to lose 125 games, a record for 162 game season. And they need someone from the outside. They need to stop being so insular, and yet someone, ideally, who has a feel for Coors Field and what it would take to win at Coors Field. So Rockies are dorks of the week until further notice. If you notice, every team that gets hot in Major League Baseball, you just mentioned the Red Sox, in part they're getting hot, it seems, because they're playing the Rockies. So they are the dorks of the week.
Yeah, Walker Buehler toes the rubber tonight for the Boston Red Sox. The Tampa Bay Rays come in for 4 games, and I'm sure he would have loved to have faced the Rockies instead to try to get that ERA a little bit lower. My dork of the week is Juan Soto. Juan Soto obviously signing a massive $765 million contract, I believe, coming into the season. A lot of people say he was snubbed on not making the All-Star team, but he basically said that he's bummed because every single All-Star appearance, he makes $100,000, and he's like, "Yeah, I would have loved to have made it. That's a lot of money left on the table." I mean, I get it. I get it. $100,000 is a lot of money, but you're also a $765 million man, Juan Soto. Optics, man, optics. All right, much more to come here on Fair Territory with Ken Rosenthal. But for now, for our friends over watching on NESN, Sportsnet Pittsburgh, and NESN Nation, we say goodbye until next time. All right, Ken, great to have this article that you had written in The Athletic, how rookie Cam Smith made the Astros believe he's got something special. Tell us more about this.
Well, one of the great trades of the offseason, and really in recent seasons for both teams, was the Kyle Tucker trade. And who went to Houston for Kyle Tucker? Isaac Paredes, who is an all-star. Cam Smith, who is a future superstar in the estimation of his teammate Jose Altuve. And Hayden Wesneski, a pitcher who has undergone Tommy John surgery, but is promising for the future once he returns. But the story was about Cam Smith and how special he is. And what's amazing to me about him, Alanna, is the degree of difficulty he has faced in becoming the Astros starting right fielder. This kid was not even drafted a year ago at this time. The Cubs took him number 14 in the draft. Then they traded him to the Astros. The initial plan was place Smith at third base in the minor leagues, get him settled, and we'll see where his position would be in the future. What happened was Cam Smith tore it up in spring training and impressed the Astros as well with his maturity, his poise. Everything about his makeup was really off the charts. So once he tore it up in spring training offensively, they said, you know what? We've got a spot open in right field. Let's put him there. They put him there. He had never played that position. Never. He'd only played the outfield a little bit in summer league when he was in college at Florida State. So for him to accomplish what he has, he's about an 800 OPS now, playing a new position, being only a year out of school. I know Jacob Wilson is the front runner for AL Rookie of the Year. Nick Kurtz might not be far behind, but Cam Smith belongs in that conversation.
Ken, so much of a trade is who it benefits, and oftentimes the best trades are the ones that are winners on both sides of those. Typically, how long do you think it takes to determine who the real winners are in a trade?
Ideally, Alanna, you don't judge it until their careers are over, right? And then you can add up what they've done and see just how it balances out. But in this particular trade, they've both won short term. The Cubs by getting Tucker, who's been a transformational player for them. The Astros by getting Paredes and Smith and Wesneski for the future. Ultimately, if Smith becomes a superstar, and he could, then yes, the Astros had the greater control of him, 6 years versus the one that the Cubs got with Tucker. You would say the Astros won the trade. But if the Cubs go on in the postseason to the World Series and win the World Series, even if they don't, even if they go into the NLCS and sputter out there, it's been a great year. It's been a great trade for Tucker under those circumstances. So winners and losers in this case, I would say they're both going to end up winners one way or the other.
Okay, it's always great to have a conversation with you here on Fair Territory. Don't forget, Ken has a brand new episode of Fair Territory with Ken Rosenthal on Monday, right after us. Foul Territory is on. AJ Pierzynski, Eric Kratz joined Scott Braun as the host. Good guests today as well. Jonathan Papelbon. Oh boy, you never know what you're going to get. Jim Bowden and Sam Blum will join them, and then Dodgers Territory follows them. Have a great day, everybody. Ken, we'll see you on Monday.
Thanks, Alanna.